All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm Olivia Radcliffe, in case you don't know, uh, founder of the Bluebell Group and creator of the Mom Boss Society. And I am here with Michelle, who this is our second time chatting on something like this. And I'll let you introduce yourself, Michelle.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michelle Pontvert or Pontvert if the French pronunciation is a bit tricky. I'm a web designer and we have been chatting about all things mum business for a while. That's something we're both really passionate about. So I'm excited for us to just keep this kind of going and share our experiences and our processes, our journeys, any insights we can offer. We had thought that today we could share about our experience figuring out our offers, how we came up with like the model of our businesses. It's something that's really fresh in my mind. It sounds like for Olivia too. So I thought that could be a fun thing for us to kind of chat about and share how we've landed upon kind of the businesses that we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think well, and it's something that I think is really, really important and kind of gets overlooked sometimes with female entrepreneurs and mompreneurs, specifically with my niche. And it's part of your niche, but um, but is the structure of what our offers actually are. There's a lot of talk behind, well, how do I get clients and talking to your audience and things like
hmm
that, but then there's not as much conversation or as much work that kind of goes into crafting that offer, and what does that look like as far as what you're offering, what you're doing to serve your audience, as well as for your own schedule. um,
Yeah.
and
100%. And I think as busy mums, like that piece is so crucial for us to figure out how we're fitting all of this in around the other really important things in our lives. So it's been, yeah, a very different process, going through how other people teach business. As you said, it's kind of brushed over a little bit. And it's like, no, no, actually, this is a really important piece to actually make the day-to-day business work in many ways.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So how do you, I know you doing kind of a pre-launch, early launch right now. So how have you crafted your offer there? Like how does that work with your schedule and what you're doing for your audience?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm pre-selling a website template kit that I have actually already done a little sale of. I did a beta round that is wrapping up now, which has been really fun. And that came from kind of a lot of different pieces and parts of like business and life combining and making me realize like this is what people needed from me and what I needed for myself in my business. My first kind of offers were pretty custom website designs, A to Z, like branding, often helping with copywriting and like the entire website design and development process, which is a long drawn out process. Like a couple months is a pretty typical size. And I love that process and going really deep, but it was really hard to fit that around my schedule as a mom, and I'm often a solo parent. My husband works away from home for many months at a time, and it just became kind of clear that that was the hardest possible format I could choose for myself. Like lots of recurring deadlines and lots of like big things to figure out. So I had done a bunch of research, like 50 plus research chats with people, and I kept hearing the same patterns come up with these mompreneurs. I knew that was my niche from pretty much get go. I'm really passionate about supporting women and mums who are trying to build businesses around their families and to support their families. And I kept hearing the sense of like, I just don't have time. I feel really like overwhelmed by the process of dealing with a website. So that either something they throw a ton of time or throw a ton of money at, but I didn't think that was really the best way to support those women.
Mhm.
So simultaneously, like I was finding myself struggling with the big typical project format. And I also found my clients were not really being served the best way I could come up with, especially in those early months and years where a full custom website, which is, you know, months of time, thousands of euros or dollars, just doesn't make sense. Like, honestly, I would feel like a bad business owner to sell people that when they're just not ready. So I realized I had a gap of what I was offering, and I was trying to figure out what this smaller version looked like without just working more for less money. So I kind of had this epiphany when things really started to be tough. And I was like, okay, I need to basically productize my service and help people walk themselves through this entire process at their own pace, but with a lot of the kind of work already done for them.
Mhm,
So I feel
mhm,
like it's kind of the pre-chewed version of building a website. So my kit has a website template that's all baked in, like the strategy, the customer journey, all the different pages you could possibly need done for you. And then, sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Like a brand kit that helps them figure out their branding and export all of the graphics they need for the website, a copywriting guide to write everything and like really A to Z walking through like this is how you write this and this is what you need to write here and how you can kind of phrase it to cut out a lot of that work. I know people get sort of tripped up when they stare at a blank page, so it's really the
yeah,
idea of taking that away. And then there's really in-depth like video tutorials click by click showing you how to actually set everything up, how to customize it yourself and launch the entire thing. And that was really important to me that it was as simple as possible while still being a robust website at the end. Like it's not, I don't really care to provide just pretty websites. Like I can, but that's not really the point. They're marketing tools. So it was really important to me that we're still building something that's actually going to work for their business and give them a return on their investment and their time. And then I put in like 30 days of email support because I really believe in like supporting people and making sure they feel empowered to actually use their websites and all the resources. So it all kind of came together all of a sudden, and that actually sparked me to re-examine my other services. And I changed my one-on-one service to be a pretty, a very condensed version of the website process. So I do intensives, and we kind of break off the projects into smaller chunks, but work really intensely closely together so that we can get done in like a day what would take usually months
mhm.
because we've got this pre-work ahead of time. We're both accountable on the day to really be there and get that feedback back and forth, which is honestly what holds up a lot of the big projects. And that's been really fun to play with. And I see a lot of value of mums being able to just like, okay, I just need to block off this time and then it's done. And it's not a bunch of calls, it's not a bunch of like other appointments. It's really a way to just liberate their to-do lists for them. Yeah, so it's been quite a revelation for me, I guess, to think of my offers through this lens of like, how do I provide the best bang for their time as well as their money? Like, I
Right,
want to use their time as best as I can.
right. Well, I mean, there were several key points in there that I love. I love that, you really went back to the drawing board and thought about a product that is actually going to get people huge transformational results. What is the best thing that's going to be that you can offer your clients?
Mm.
It also takes your schedule into consideration because it is
Very
pretty much
important.
evergreen. You've done a ton of work, putting it together and everything. And there is some
Mm.
support aspect to there as well, obviously. But it's, not taking up all of your time. You still have, your little to focus on and
Yeah.
all your
Mhm.
home life stuff. And and then what was the thing you just mentioned? Oh, it just went out of my head.
The
Um,
intensives.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, yes. And having those intensive, having different levels of people to work
Mm.
with you on things. Because some people want the DIY. I just want to go off
Yeah,
and do it on my own. I don't need that much help. And then there are people who are willing to like pay more to get it done right now. They
exactly.
can book out your time. Um, and that's something that you know, I have really worked with on my own offers. I've helped people build out their own offers and then come back and I'm like, oh, I need to do the same thing for my own. Um, but one of the things that I've been struggling with lately is I'm wrapping up some contracts from a previous offer I had, where I put it together and I was really new and just wanted to get like this amazing thing out there,
Mm.
that I thought the market really really wanted, and it was a really really amazing offer, but it didn't take my schedule into consideration at all. It was
Yeah.
how can I give, give, give? And the reality is by giving so much, I find myself working, well, I found myself, it's getting better now. Found myself working so much in my business, helping
Mhm.
clients, fulfilling these contracts instead of
Yeah.
working on my business and being able to grow. And the reality is if we can't work on our businesses, if we don't have that time to ourselves for our home lives and work on our businesses and grow on many levels, then we're not going to help more people. It
No.
seems kind of counterintuitive that to offer less, you will actually help more.
Yeah, and to offer with yourself as part of that equation too, like,
Yeah,
as service providers and even as, like, pretty much any business model, like, we're still human and we still need to make sure that we're able to function with what we're providing, and I think kinda comes down to good customer service, like, if we're overstretched, we can't possibly deliver the level and the quality that we want, so it if it's really hard to think of it sort of selfishly, I think you can even turn it around and be like, "It
yeah,
still serves the clients best too."
yeah. No, absolutely. Again, it seems counterintuitive, like focusing
Mhm.
on yourself. What are you talking about? You're supposed to focus on your clients, but by focusing on yourself, you are focusing on your clients. And
Yeah.
the other thing you mentioned, more bang for their time instead of just their money. It was a big thing because I have a lot of people I work with who would come and say, well, is this course long enough? It's only 3 weeks. Is
Yeah.
it long enough? Like, well, what's the transformation? Like, it's not really about the time, that more is not always better with these things.
No, of course, and, like, in other contexts, we don't want more, like, I don't want my mechanic to take more time fixing a
No.
car, like, that's worse service.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. It's
yeah.
if you can get me the same transformation in 3 days as you can 3 weeks, well, I want that done in 3 days. I don't wanna take
Yeah,
3 weeks,
that's a
I'm
selling
busy.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
So,
how have
yeah.
you taken that to, like, I guess, learn about yourself and what you want for your new offers? Because you mentioned you're wrapping up this one that wasn't that sustainable. What have you kind of taken away from that, and what are you shifting and adjusting this time?
Yeah, so I am a big, big fan. I used to be very skeptical of it, but I'm a very big fan of taking intuition breaks, is what I call them,
Mm.
where there's times where you literally sit and do nothing. Or, sometimes it looks like going for a walk, but the point is to purposely tune out of
Yeah.
external influences and really think about what is good for yourself. Like, because
Mm.
the reality is we are our own best coaches. It's great to have help sometimes, but
Mm.
no one knows our businesses or our audience or our passions and schedules and talents and everything like we do. And
Mm.
so taking that time to actually stop and check in with things. Um, it can be really, really hard. There's a lot of
Mm.
times, especially when I first started doing this practice, where I was like, what am I doing? I have dishes to do and laundry, and I should be, yeah. But um, by taking that time and sitting down and listening and thinking, okay, what's working and what's not. Um,
Yeah.
Figuring out that my previous offer was an unlimited schedule call whenever you want sort of thing. Yeah,
Whoa.
I know.
You poor
I get
thing,
that
Olivia.
I get that reaction a lot when I say it.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it wasn't a year of like unlimited calls.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. How do you manage that? Oh my goodness.
I don't. That's why I need to change it. Um, but it came down to obviously for my schedule, there were people who really, really took advantage of that unlimited
Mm.
schedule whenever
Yeah.
you want. But then I also had other people who, oddly enough, they hear the word unlimited for a year and they think, I have time. I don't have to do this
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I can do this later. And then suddenly we get to the end of the year and they're like, but I haven't accomplished anything. You failed
Mm.
me, Olivia. This wasn't good. And it's like, well, so they
Yeah.
weren't getting the transformation they needed. And my schedule was getting so overbooked, overcrowded. Um,
Yeah.
so sitting down and really thinking, okay, what don't I like about this? What do I like?
Sometimes that's easier to figure out.
Yeah. Yes. Um, and the other big thing is, and I'm sure you've experienced this, is sometimes there's a trend or a fad going on in the market or in the industry, whatever industry you're in, and you
Mhm.
think, well, I have to do the same thing because
Yeah.
look how much money that person's making with that offer.
Mhm.
And but it's something that isn't aligned with your talents or your schedule, or what you actually want to do. And
Yeah.
you try to force something like that, then I mean, you might make some money up front, but it's not in the end going to be something that's really sustainable or something that's going to help you make the impact you want to make, at least in my
Exactly.
experience.
Yeah, no, 100%. There was a lot of rhetoric around like a 2-week website when I first started. And sure, that's great if you're like a young 20 something, have no kids, and have all the time you want to work overtime. But like that just makes no sense for me and would not provide anywhere near the quality of work I want
Yeah.
for my clients. And funnily enough, I thought it was about expanding it into this way bigger project, but actually it's about condensing it down even further to really hone in on those hyper focus moments and kind of, yeah, get it done in a way shorter time that ended up working out for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest misconceptions I think we hear a lot is, I mean, there's a
Mm.
bunch there, but um, there was, so when my son was just born, I think I've shared this story before, but I, um, so I had a newborn, solo parent, and I was trying to put together this course on Facebook ads, funnels with Facebook ads specifically. And so I would like, he was sleeping in his bassinet in my room at night, and I'd go hide in my closet with my laptop and work on my
Oh, no.
course and put it together. And I got all the way through it. I mean, it took me almost a year to do that.
Mm.
I got all the way done. I recorded stuff. And then I had a client reach out to me and say, hey, can you build a funnel for me? And I was doing it, I'm good at funnels, but then I realized I really don't like doing this. I hate building funnels. Like I hate it.
Oh, no.
And I found myself, I didn't want to talk to him about the funnel. I didn't
Mm.
want to I was like, I dreaded his calls. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's this going to turn into if I launch this course and I'm providing support for people with funnels? Like, I don't
Mm.
want to do that.
Yeah.
And so
You created your own nightmare.
I created my own nightmare. And so I did the hard thing that a lot of people feel like they can't do, and I
Mm.
scrapped it. I mean, I didn't delete
Wow.
it or anything, and I've been able to use parts of it for, other programs, and in my membership, I've got some trainings that I'll share with the members. And um but it that in the end felt like so much more of a relief to let
Mm.
go of that thing that I'd been pushing because it was big in the market at the time. It was something that
Yeah.
seemed people wanted, but it wasn't what I wanted. Um, but that's, yeah, it's something that can be kind of hard to tap into actually thinking about what you want and what is your natural talent, where
Yeah.
do your strengths lie and your passions, and what's something that if you are providing support to people, you actually want to talk with them about and don't start
Can you
dreading the
actually do it?
call.
Ugh. Do you have any sort of glimmer of where you want to be going now? I know you probably don't want to share everything publicly, but in sort of the sense of what boundaries you want to hold and what kind of it looks like for you as a person and a business owner, not necessarily like the offer.
Yeah, no, I do. So my new one-to-one program that I'm releasing actually has multiple tiers. I won't get into too many details because I haven't had the grand release yet, but um, it's gonna be a group coaching aspect to it with one-to-one if that's the level of service they want. So
Mm,
you can choose whichever tier works best for you. And
yeah.
that's something that I've kind of condensed some of my trainings. So instead of a full year of like, we'll do this one project, we're going to get it done in like 8 weeks.
Oh,
And
wow. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but it's awesome. I've had some people go through the beta version and they've been raving about how much work, how much progress they made on their own businesses in 8 weeks versus
Yeah.
stuff I was doing with people for a whole year. And what would you give to do, something in 8 weeks that would take a year?
Right?
But then for my own end of things, I have a lot of my trainings are pre-recorded that I can provide to everyone at once. And then I will have, my set group coaching times that everyone has access to if they want. And then for my one-to-one people, it's not unlimited. It's a set
Good.
number of calls per month. And because the reality is they'll actually, at least what I have found with the beta testers, is that they actually get more done when there's a set limit and they feel that commitment to themselves and to their business instead of saying, well, I could put that off because it's unlimited. I could do whatever.
Yeah, and they, like, actively opt in to do that,
Yeah,
and I think it's a different level of accountability when you've actively opted for it too, which is great.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so that then works out so much better for my schedule and with my son who,
Yay.
yeah, but
Was the choice to sort of bring in that group element something you chose to be more flexible around your son, or was that just, like, how you wanted to run your business from the get-go?
um well, a little of both. I do like the group coaching aspect and a lot of things I do because there is something when you get, well, in my case, it's a lot of moms, a lot of women, bring them all together. And the way they all lift each other up is really, really amazing. And it's more than they would get from just talking to me. That community
Mm,
aspect really, really enhances things from what I've found. And programs that
mm,
I've done too. I love the communities. Um, but it does also help with, my schedule with my son, who at this point is 20 months old. And he's decided that he doesn't like when mama's on the phone in the afternoon. Morning, he's okay
fair
with
enough.
it. Afternoon, not at all. So um, it helps me be able to have a set schedule with that and plan
Mm.
that better than when people could schedule whenever they wanted.
Ugh,
So
wow. Yeah, that's really nice to hear that there's a sense of blend that came into the decision-making process for you too. I think that's probably how most of us moms are going to go about it. It's like, how can I make these two puzzle pieces fit together and make my offer and my life work?
yeah, a lot of people talk about like finding a work-life balance. And I do think it is more of an equation than a balance.
Mhm.
It's sometimes there's a little more give on, you need to schedule a few more meetings, have a few more hours blocked for calls or social programming or things like that. And then on the other side, there's like days where you need to spend with your family, go on vacation
Yeah.
or baby's teething or
When
something.
Yep, when sick days happen and you need to adjust.
Just happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you deal with things like sick days or the impromptu kind of needs that having a small child can bring?
Yeah, that's a good question because it doesn't.
I don't know if I have an answer.
I don't know that there is a set answer because it varies so much. But like I said,
Mm,
like my son, he doesn't. There's times where he just doesn't want me on a call, and it's like, well,
mm,
I have to have a call. And with COVID, um, it's actually been really hard to find childcare. I don't know if you've had
mm.
an experience with that where you are, but
Different but similar, I think.
yeah. And I have made the decision I don't want to take him to daycare right now, which, if you make a different decision, that's totally fine. Your own decisions there. But um, so it is pretty hard without childcare a lot of times
Mm,
trying to balance. Um, being on the phone or on video chats or something. Because right now he's sleeping, so that's why he's not right here.
Yeah,
But
I know it's a tough kind of balance, and especially for those more impromptu needs that kids can come with, it's challenging. And I feel like the thing that was really helpful that I heard very early on when I was starting the business is like I never want to feel ashamed that I'm a mum
mhm,
first, and that
mhm,
if I want to work with other mothers, I expect them to tell me honestly when they need to go be a mum, and
mhm,
I shouldn't feel a sense of shame when I need to go and be a mum. And we recently have had a string of colds, and had a couple of days where just it wasn't possible for me to get on calls when I'm on my own, and my little guy's feeling really bad, and I just canceled things. So like, I'm really sorry. We'll reschedule it for next week. I hope you'll feel better then. And just having that almost permission for myself to be like, I need to be a mum first here was really liberating. And I think I've never had a traditional job, but I've been an employee
mhm.
until this point, and I think that was a really big switch to be like, no, I don't have to apologize for this. This is one of the core values of why I started this business. So I need to also hold firm for myself in that value too. Like I get to put my family first as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, one of the key elements behind how to craft your offers, right?
Yeah.
It's figuring out what your priorities actually are, um,
Yeah.
and not apologizing for having them be your priorities. Crafting a business complete with your offer, schedule, marketing program, everything
Hmm.
around your lifestyle, creating that lifestyle business.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like you're saying, we're the architect of this whole thing. So why not build it to suit us in the
Yeah.
first place?
Yeah, exactly. And having that confidence to check in with your intuition and have an understanding of where you are with things. And,
Hmm.
there's always going to be something where you do have to make a choice or some things are hard. Um,
Yeah.
but on a whole, if you can craft that offer that helps support that life you want to live instead of something where you have to change your life around to support what you're offering, I think that's
Yeah.
a key distinction that I think gets, it's easy to leave that behind, especially when you're getting started as an entrepreneur and you just want things to work. And
Yeah.
you just want clients in no matter what the cost, and then before you know it though, you're years down the line and you're having
The
people
cost is too
schedule
much.
unlimited calls whenever they want you know um
uh, yeah. Do you feel like you could have come to this realization without having gone through that crazy, like, unlimited year of being on everyone else's schedule?
no, I mean, that's one of the most amazing lessons I think of being an entrepreneur is that anytime something goes wrong, it's really going right for you because you're learning from
Mm.
it. It becomes a lesson. And I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe I would have gotten there, but I certainly wouldn't gotten there as strongly as hard as I am right now. Um, but no, I definitely think that, if we put an offer out there and it doesn't resonate with our audience or it doesn't work with our schedule or we need to tweak it a little bit, but that's totally fine. I think there's a
Mm.
lot of people who feel like, oh my gosh, it's out there, I can't change it. But the
Mm.
reality is like you said, we are crafting this, we're building this. So there's absolutely no shame and there's no rule that says you can't go back and tweak it and change it to whatever your life needs are at the time, because those will change. I'm sure
Yeah.
after my son hits two, we're going to have even more changes to
My
our
son's just
schedule.
getting out of 2, and it's
Okay.
an interesting year.
But,
Yeah. No,
well,
I
what
think that
about
that
you
is
with
really
your little,
true.
sorry, what were you saying?
No, just that that's really true, that I think that every challenge is also a lesson in disguise, and I think giving your white space, which is a great idea to schedule in, I just sort of have mine, like, accidental forced white space, and that is helpful, but I should schedule it, and I think that's really valuable to give yourself space to reflect on those mistakes or those challenges so that we can ultimately learn and move forward, because I think that's how we build the thing we're actually aiming at.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, and you brought up a good point there, that that kind of taking that time to yourself, and that having that space, is is great if we can schedule it. But a lot of times with, small kids and older kids and, life in general, um, schedules like that don't always hold true. And it's really easy to fall into the habit, I think, of kind of being hard on yourself if we can't stick to a schedule. And it's
Yeah.
more about giving ourselves grace and being adaptable to take that time as it comes. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a huge, like, I'm going to sit for 2 hours on my yoga mat and meditate. It'd be great. It's not realistic.
Probably not gonna happen.
No, definitely not. Um, but being able to say, okay, I have 2 minutes. I'm going to sit here in silence instead of checking my Facebook, or, I'm
Mhm.
just going to sit and take a moment, focus on my breathing, and feel what I'm feeling right now and kind of assess where I am with things. Um,
Yeah.
but, and for me,
No, I
it
think
also happens with like doing dishes or something like that,
I was gonna say, I think there's moments in life, like when I take my son out for a walk, that is my best thinking time, and it's not
Yes.
something I've purposefully planned, but I think really well, I guess, while I'm walking and just kind of doing something else, and that's my kind of accidental white space pretty much every day, and I really treasure it now. I had never planned it, but it is one of my favorite parts of our daily kind of routine, if you want to call it that.
That's I'm the same way. I love going on walks. I definitely think
Mm,
it's the ideas that come out when you're walking. It's something crazy happens.
yeah, it
Although,
must be something to do with that movement too, I'm sure.
yeah, the movement and rhythm, but my son has started to, it works best when I can just have him in his wagon or stroller and like zone. But now
Mhm.
he also likes pushing his lawnmower or riding his bike, and then it's like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to pay attention
Mm,
to this. Hold on,
yep.
intermission. But yeah, but no, stuff like that, finding whatever works for you in your time frame, and you know,
Yeah.
ideas in the shower is kind of a cliche moment, but
Yep.
if it works, it
I
works.
if you're a mum who gets to have shower on their own, that's a nice thing too.
Exactly. Good point. Um, but what do you do? So when you're out walking or whatever you're doing and you get
Mhm.
these ideas, how do you keep track of them? Like, how do you
Ugh,
not lose them?
yeah. I feel like I used to have a pretty good memory. My memory is a complete sieve now. So I have my project management system, which is on ClickUp, on my phone, and I try really hard not to use it to manage anything, but I use it to jot down my ideas and my kind of way of thinking, and it's probably just works for me, but, like, I write down my little idea and I schedule it for that day on my calendar in ClickUp, and so I have to think about it again that day before I've forgotten what it was, and then I can add in all my details and sort of the flesh it out and actually schedule in when I'm gonna do whatever it is I've come up with. But just being able to, like, get it out of my brain quick before I lose it has been really valuable because 'cause I've lost tons of ideas before I came up with a system to write it down in the moment.
Yeah.
How about you?
I something similar. I think it's really great that you said of coming back to it later on when you
Mm,
have a moment and getting it out then. Um, I do use I'll use Google Keep or Asana or something, or even Airtable. I go back and forth. But getting all the ideas down and then making a point to come back to it later on is important, because
yeah.
I have this one Google Keep list where I just would jot down keywords of ideas as they would come to me.
You would never remember that, like, 2
I
weeks
never remember.
later what you
No,
meant.
I went back through it. I was looking at the list and I wrote, one of the lines was fish bait. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what did I mean about fish bait? I don't know. Where was I going with that?
We need
Like,
to leave ourselves more clues.
yeah. But there were a ton like that. I was like, huh, well, I mean, if it'll come
That
back to
genius
me if
idea's
it's a really
gone.
amazing idea, but yeah, fish
Just
bait.
watch, Olivia's gonna do a whole bunch of stuff around fish bait soon.
Actually, it would probably make a pretty good blog or something, just to talk about not just leaving the fish bait,
There you
going
go.
back to it and exploring what that idea was. But
Yeah, but I think that's a really good point. It's also about kind of building ourselves systems to support the way that we work in our business, not just when
Mhm.
we're at the computer in business mode, but like in our lives as well. And I think probably every mom out there knows like the importance of a calendar where you put down all the doctor's appointments. But I think the more we can kind of systematize those processes, the less brain power we have to use every day to actually survive. And I really
Absolutely.
believe in that sense of like the kind of atomic habits idea of like you just build a new habit every day for 30 days and then it's ingrained in you and you don't have to think about it anymore. And I found that in tons of different parts of my life, but I really believe in that, like consciously choosing to add a new habit or a new system, putting the mental effort in all in one go for like, yeah, a month, I think is the time frame they usually say. And then
Mhm.
you don't have to think about it anymore. And then you have that fallback to kind of catch yourself because you have all those systems and that kind of process built in many ways to your brain. So I think there's a lot of ways to like kind of hack the way that we can work through the day as mums.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know. If anyone knows, let us know in the comments. But there's I follow the strategy of try to use as many or as few steps as possible to get something done. So,
Ooh.
like if you pick up the dishes off the dining room table, instead of going and putting them on the counter and then going back later and putting them in the dishwasher, I will go
Mm-hmm.
and make a conscious effort to it goes straight in the dishwasher, eliminate those steps and kind of
Yeah.
do that throughout the house, throughout the day. And
Oh,
I
I
kind
like
of
that.
think of that with this getting stuff on the calendar, getting stuff
Mm-hmm.
on my to-do list of it's kind of a hard thing to get your brain to do sometimes. You want to be like, well, I'll come back and do that later. Um,
Mm,
but if in the moment you think, I need to do this on this day, you go into your calendar right then and there, put it down, write the details down as much as you can at the time and save it. It makes things so much easier. Um, and just eliminating those extra steps of like, well, I have to think about it later on. And then when I
yeah.
think about it,
It's
then I
like
have to go back in and do it. Like cut those
whenever
steps out, just go in and do it.
yeah, it's like present you can look out for future you,
Yeah,
not make more
exactly.
work for them.
Exactly. Give ourselves a heads up. But um, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of scheduling tools and jotting things down and getting down as many details as possible as we can at the time.
Mhm.
Um, And it's not always possible. There are going to be those times where you have a great idea and it goes
And
away
then
because,
fish bait.
yeah, fish bait. It's just fish bait. Um, but I do believe that if those ideas, they're not gone forever, I think they're
No.
still floating around in you. Check in with your intuition and they will represent themselves in the right time. Someday I will remember what fish bait means.
And you'll let me know.
I will let you know. It's probably going to be at 2 a.m. one morning and be like, oh my gosh, fish bait. But, um, but all right, we have been going for about 40 minutes here. So
Yeah.
I
Shall we
know
wrap up? I think we covered a ton
we
already.
covered a ton. I think if we let ourselves, we would just sit here and talk forever. So, um,
Yeah, we share a very common passion here, I
yes,
think.
yes, absolutely. Um, so any final words you want to get in before we wrap up?
No, I think just kind of keep being open and exploring, and I hope that us sharing publicly kind of our process of adapting and exploring is helping you see that, like, that's possible for you too. I never want to say anything that, like, I'm not doing myself too. I want to lead by example, but I also never want to have people feel like they have to hold themselves to any example. I also hate when people hold me to an example, so if you feel like you're overwhelmed by the business and the offers you've created, like, y have the power to fix it yourself too. Like Olivia said, we are our best coaches. I think that's really profound. So I, yeah, just want to encourage people to, like, take your business into your own hands because it is yours, and you can make it do what you want, how you want to fit around all the other really important stuff we have going on as moms too.
Exactly, exactly. I think to wrap it up in a nice little bow, that it really all comes down to checking in with what works best for you, what you're passionate about, what your natural talents are, what works best for your schedule, where you are in life, and understanding that that can change and that there's no harm in going in and changing things as they do. Um, and then also tapping into what is best for your audience. What's going to get them the fastest transformation, the biggest transformation? What's going to help them get from where they are now to where they want to be? And don't worry so much about what the other people are doing in your industry or what the gurus are saying, or, just listen to what works best for you, and pretty much can promise that that's going to get you the best, fastest results, and get your clients the best, fastest results also.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Beautifully said.
With that, I'm sure we will be back at some point to talk further. So
I'm sure we will.
we will check you later, ladies. I will put Michelle's contact information below, or I'll have my team jump on at some point and put it in the comments in case you want to learn more about her website templates that she does have out right now, because it's a really amazing package. It really, really is. I've been promoting it shamelessly to almost everyone who I run across who needs a website. So,
oh, well, and I'll share Olivia because I think she's just got so many amazing resources and a wonderfully supportive community that I've had a taste of, and definitely think if you're looking for that, there's a very lovely place in this corner of the internet just for you.
oh, thank you. All right. We'll see you later, ladies. Bye.